Hey everyone, Sawmill Charlie. Well, welcome to another Friday night bee chat. Hope everybody's doing well. It's been kind of cool here in my area of the town, and all getting things set up here. Let me get the link posted here. And won't be able to invite everybody. Drop the link. And it's pinned. So we're up and good. So, hey, Bundy and Danny, and we got Hope and Dodd. Hey, John and Keith. Here comes Bill. There he is. And we got Mike and Jonathan, Vincent, and all that. And we got Michael, 21 First Bees. So what's happening, Bill? And there's Brian and Bracken.
Can you hear me now?
Yep, I can hear you now.
Yeah, it's been chilly around here all day. Wind blew most of the day and rained a little bit yesterday, so kind of chilled out a little bit.
Yep. I guess it was 55 degrees and windy, and I had my winter coat on. And the night before, they said it was supposed to be windy, and I blocked all the doors down. And it was really a howling outside, and it did rain quite a bit, and all that stuff. And hey, Randy, and all that kind of thing. And I don't know. I don't know what to do here as far as there's Ryan. I was watching Ryan's. He's hived a nuke of bees, a 5/5 into a 10 frame. He had, I don't know, about 6 frames of bee or 6 frames of brood, I think, in that thing.
Yeah.
And all that looking good on there. And
it's been way too cold here to get into bees this week.
Yeah, that's where I'm at. It's like, okay, what do I do? You know, it's like I got in earlier this week when it was warm. I looked at a couple nukes that were for the replacements of some hives. And there was one that's really nice. It's going to be for that hive that was sick, here about a month ago. It died out. It had a deep frame in there from corner to corner of freshly laid eggs. And I'm like, I thought about putting it in 10 frame. I'm like, no, it's going to get cold this weekend. I'm going to keep it in that 5 frame where you got the tight cluster to keep it good and hot.
Yep.
Keep everything from getting chilled. And then they're looking at the extended forecast. Like this time next weekend, it's going to be 32 degrees at night.
Yep.
And I was like,
and it's going to be cold here too.
I'm like, I've been usually in the past couple years, by the last week of March, I'm doing a demery and get my honey supers up and running.
Yep.
And this year, I don't think I'm going to be able to get that done.
No, I'm not going to do mine until probably the first full week of April, and that's going to be questionable.
I know.
Nighttime temperatures. So I don't know what I'm going to do this year. It might end up waiting until a little bit later in April. I'm just going to have to deal with it, I guess.
Yeah, Mike there, he's gonna skip EAS. I'm like, yeah, Mike. That's it ain't worth your time, especially when you're coming out from Arkansas for that.
Yeah.
Now, best thing for you to do is hang tight with Nobby, and maybe I'm not sure whether you were at Tom and Melissa's conference at the Missouri,
Yep.
Eastern Missouri, I think it's called conference. That looked to be good a conference.
I might go there. I might go out there next year. Not as a vendor, but just to go to the conference, see what it's like, check it out.
Yeah, I told Tom and Melissa that if it was more of a 2-day convention, it was a nice convention. I know Todd there went out. Todd, you're in your bees right now. Do you want to come on and show us what's happening? Do a live? Okay.
Hey, Darren. Hey, Randy.
Hey, Darren. Yeah. Yeah. Brian said EMBA was well worth it. Yeah. The North Carolina one, I think you might have you'd have seen Bob down there with Mament maybe down there. He was down there selling or giving out creamed honey samples.
Mm. He doesn't have a very good signal today, Charlie.
Yeah.
Hey, Jack and Danette.
So that's where I'm at. I mean, I don't know what to do. It's like I got a question and I had one I just left the other chat. A friend of mine that lives about half an hour from my house, closer to she lives right on the mouth of the Chesapeake Bay. And she said there's nectar coming in and they're capping a little bit of it. And I'm wondering, well, and then Peabody, where I am, he's down there in Southern Maryland. He's 2 hours south of me and said that the dead nettle and henbit, purple flowers everywhere.
Yep.
And, all through the cornfields and stuff. And with that nectar source coming in, which is not a huge nectar source, but do you think he was thinking about putting a queen excluder on? He needs comb. So he's going to drop a box of foundation. Would they draw that comb out if he had a strong
Oh,
eye?
yeah.
You will? Think so?
Yep. Oh, yeah. They'll draw it out now because the flow's on.
Well, then I'm going to be doing that maybe tomorrow afternoon. I got some really strong hives out there. I'll put a queen excluder on and put a box of foundation because everybody can use fresh wax.
I got red maple, silver maple, red buds, ornamental cherries. The ornamental cherries are getting ready to pop here in the next
All right.
week.
So Ryan said he did that to about 8 hives. So, okay.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Well, I'm going to try it.
Yep.
Now, honey, you sell honey and been around. When honey's got sort of I'll call it kind of a cough syrup taste to it. What is that? Is that honey or is that fermented or?
If it was fermented, you would be able to smell it. It would smell like alcohol. It would smell kind of rotten.
No,
have a rotten smell to it and alcohol in it.
I tasted it. It was a friend of mine's honey, and I tasted it, and it's just like, I don't know. It's an odd taste to it.
Did it have an afterbite to it?
Russell, I think that's what I'm thinking. I was thinking about Bob Benny's movie, the cherry nectar.
Yeah.
It might have a cherry taste to it. It's red. It's red.
Yeah.
It's red honey.
Yeah.
Huh?
It could be cherry. Or where does he live at?
He lives up around Frederick area.
It could be spotted lanternfly.
No, I got some of that. That I don't know.
Or I mean, being red, I would lean
He
more
he
towards
he
a
labeled
cherry.
it as red honey, and I'm like, I don't know. I was tasting. I'm like, I don't know.
I don't know. Randy asked, did he treat while he had honey supers on?
No, he's got about 75 hives or more. He's
Yeah.
the semi-commercial.
I would I would kind of tend to agree that it's a cherry of some sort.
It was some kind of a cherry tree. Dodd talked. I remember he said, "See that tree over there, in the video," and he said, "That's such and such." And what's her name said, "Yeah, it tastes like cough syrup." And I said, "Yeah, this is
Yep.
kind of reminds me of that."
I would say it's probably a cherry of some sort. No, it's not mountain laurel. Not if it's red.
So I don't know. I just I was thought about getting some of it. And I'm like, I think I'm going to pass.
Yeah.
He said that some of his customers love it. I'm like, well, that's good. And all that. So, all right. Well, that answers some of my questions tonight. Is I'm going to drop on my strong highs, at least give them space. Hopefully, they'll draw wax out for me while we're kind of waiting on let's say, the dandelions to pop. And, I don't know whether that's going to be a week from now or two or whatever.
Yeah, the cold nighttime temperatures are kind of holding up the dandelions.
And I don't know. It's like we had that one time 3 years ago, I guess it was, where it was hot in February and then all of a sudden it was cold as ice April and May. And I'm looking at the monthly temperature right now. Like you say, it's about 55 today. It's going to go Thursday, tomorrow night, 60 during the day and 32 at night. And then you got all of next week, you got high 55 to maybe 60 degrees the majority of the days next week. And then in the nighttime temperatures, they're all in around the 40 range, except for one night, it's going to be 35, 34. And then at the end of the month, it's going to be like 58, 39, 69. So it's still averaging somewhere around 55 to 60.
Look at the 18th and 19th of April.
$57, $55.
Look at I got snow forecast here for the night overnight on the 18th into the 19th.
It says rain here.
Yeah.
Well, rain, snow. It doesn't really say.
So 21st B had a good question or a statement for you, Charlie.
All right, I'm back. All right, that's Mike.
Up at 8:13 p.m.
All right, here we are. Oh, wait a minute now. I'll go back up.
He's talking about master beekeeper programs.
Is there any kind of basis, I guess that is?
Yep, basis blueprint.
Blueprint, all these states' master beekeepers follow their programs, or can Charlie take a Sawmill master beekeepers of YouTube or SMBY certificate? I don't know, Michael. I have to say this. I asked the EAS master beekeeper, well, we're the best. That's what he said. Better than what is it, Minnesota master beekeepers, and there's Cornell. I know Bill's on that.
So I can say this. In Virginia, the master beekeeper program in Virginia, as far as I know right now, from everything that I've looked at and everybody I've talked to throughout the United States, Virginia is the only state that requires you to do microscopy to get your one of the tests to get your master beekeeper. I know University of Florida and Cornell do not require it. So I'm going to get my Cornell master beekeeper, and then I'm going to get the state of Virginia just so I've got it. But they're good programs, and they all kind of follow along the same type of curriculum, the same things. They go more in depth in the biology. They go more in depth in the treatments. They go into depth in how to deal with people and how to teach classes and be able to deal with your local government is the point of the Master Beekeeper program, because you are the quote unquote subject matter expert for that area. So, but
I know Brian there, Flower Street. He's in the same. He's doing something out there in Colorado.
Yeah. So, I mean, like I said, as far as I knew, now if microscopy class may be part of your master's program, I'm not sure.
What, Rick? Hey, Charles. I don't know. Well, I don't know. Brian's saying that.
Exactly. You're exactly right, Brian. You get out of it what you put into it. If you put the effort in, then you're going to get more out of the class than anybody else will that doesn't put the effort in. And Darren had a good statement. It's like the master gardener. You've mastered learning the material. You know the material. You know how to teach a class. You've not really mastered the science side of it, but you have enough of an understanding of the science side of it to be able to go into and look at things and say, yes, this is what's wrong with this hive. You need to send these for testing to a lab. So, and I kind of agree with what DC is saying. I mean, the Cornell and Florida, Cornell is almost a two-year course. Florida is just about a 2-year course as well. So, you know, it's not a master's degree, but you're a master craftsman at being a beekeeper. I like North Carolina's definition. One of their certifications is master craftsman. That's true as well.
I have to say that big time, Tiny Creek.
Yep.
Big time.
Yep.
I have caught more so-called. I have a hang up where it says they're the a master beekeeper. To me, that means you know your craft inside and out. And I had the one lady who just got her EAS master beekeeper, and she said it's more for teaching and this and this and this and this. And I say, well, then you need to be, I think EAS needs to be changing their name as a master beekeeper. It's not that. It's more of I've heard other people say EAS and all that stuff was designed for more or less public outreach. Education in the public. It was originally there for educating the public and not so much the craft.
Yes.
Because I got one guy who's EAS master beekeeper. He's going to try to teach how to graft queens. And I'm in the class and I'm teaching him
how to graft queens.
How to graft queens to a certain extent.
But if you think about this quote unquote master beekeeper, Virginia only requires you to be a beekeeper for 6 years. And that's it. generally to even get a good grasp of beekeeping, you need to be a beekeeper for 10 to 12 years until you have a true, really down to earth understanding of the bees. It's 10 to 12 years. And to me, that should be the minimum, that amount of time before you're allowed to even challenge a master's test. And yeah, they're selling a product. They're trying to make money on it. I get it. But apprentice beekeeper, the state, their requirement is a beekeeper for 1 year. A journeyman is 2 to 4 years. So they don't take in consideration the length of time that you've been a beekeeper, or you're an experienced beekeeper, advanced to intermediate to advanced to experienced beekeeper. They need to look at that when they do these courses. I'm gonna get off my soapbox.
Well, I had a lot of good opinions here, that's for sure.
Yeah.
But and all, yeah. I mean, is there any like 21 or Michael says there? Like, you know, it differs from state to state, so there is no set standards, I don't think.
No, there's not. I mean, there's some states will let you attempt their test without taking any of their education requirement if you've been a beekeeper for the certification level that you want to test for. Now, there may be a requirement that you're a member of their state association. Like North Carolina, before you can take any of the North Carolina certification, you have to be a member of their state association or a bee club within the state. Virginia is the same way, which to me, and Virginia doesn't offer any reciprocity. And they should. If somebody moves into Virginia from out of state that's a certified master beekeeper from another state, and all they should have to do is challenge the master beekeeper test in Virginia, and they're a Virginia master. No, they want to make them go through all 3 certification levels. That's not right.
I would think it would transfer from one state to the next.
That's what I mean by reciprocity. And that doesn't occur. There are some states that do have reciprocity, because they teach it the same way.
Yeah.
DC, well, you didn't start anything at all.
I don't know. I just
I'm just a big advocate for education and training, and no, really, the certifications don't mean much to other people or anything like that, but just achieving that a level of certification as a beekeeper, it kind of makes you think, okay, I know what I'm doing to this point. Now I've got to learn the rest of it. So, that's kind of how I look at it. That's why I like teaching intermediate to advanced beekeepers, because they've been doing it for so long that I don't have to start with the basics of, say, all right, this is a bee, like you do with beginning beekeepers. Yeah, this is the bee. This is what they look like. This is what they do. So.
Well, Andrew's down in South Carolina. So yeah, Andrew, you'll be doing splits because it's 70 degrees down there.
Oh yeah.
Hey, Clay. And all that. But I don't know. Anyway, it's I don't, I thought about getting EAS certified, but there's no, what would you call it? It's kind of like fly by the seat of your pants. There's no classes to take on this. And oh, by the way, Dr. Dewey Karen. Oh, I wrote this book, and the better buy this book in order to pass the test, because the test is written out of my book. So
Yeah.
a bit of a conflict of interest there. So all that stuff, and that ain't no joke what I just stated either.
About the EAS masters.
Karen was, I seen when Dewey, before he moved out in Western Washington State, he wrote this here book about that thick, and I forget how many dollars it was. Oh yeah, you want to buy this book. We recommend his book because a lot of the test questions are more or less taken out of it. I said, well, if any kind of, whatever you want to call it, self-serving.
Yeah.
So anyway, let's get off that subject and everything.
Yeah.
Splits around here, nothing for, I guess, a good month. There's no drones per se that I've seen yet. And that kind of stuff. And nectar flow, I don't know. There might be something going on out there. I know the maples are bloom. The maple buds were out on my driveway last Sunday, I think it was. And I watched my bees earlier this week when it was warm. Hey, Steve. And the bees are definitely bringing the pollen in. And so, things are popping here a little bit, but flight days are minimal. We're not having a 5 days a week worth of flight days, that's for sure. Fred, who's that, Brian?
Who do you think?
Oh,
Mr. Beginner himself.
and all that. Tiny Creek, let's see.
I don't remember that on the label. Let me look that up.
Tiny Creek, as far as I know, actually, Bill, remember that literature you were talking to the folks at
Yeah.
Education?
Yep.
They said to stay out of there so that the off gassing would. Yeah, normally, you're going to drop it in for 2 weeks.
Yep.
I don't really drop it in on 2 weeks, and I don't, like you say, I don't get into them until after the 2 weeks are up. Dancy says 10 days is okay. I mean, as far as a real off gassing by about, like Nancy says, about 10 days, them strips are kind of almost like dry cardboard in there. I have gotten in there where I was pushed for time and I pulled that stuff out because the smell was gone as far as I was concerned.
Yeah, it does say 2 weeks. The label, the EPA label says it. It does. She's right.
Yeah.
Yep.
But I don't know. Here it is, almost April. I guess if anybody was going to do any treatments, they would be doing them by now or done by now.
I don't know. Formic's still a little bit. It's still a little cold at night for formic around here. I've got some people that are doing it, but it's still a little chilly at night. Especially next week. Almost every night next week is down in the low 30s here.
Mm-hmm.
%, 94%, 97. Humidity's getting up there.
14 days, Ryan. Hey, Sean. Yeah, I know. That's what we were talking about, Nancy. It's going to get down around freezing next weekend and all.
So I don't have low humidity until the week of the 21st,
Of what?
April.
Well, I always state low humidity when it comes to when it is high humidity and you want to get it lower so it doesn't intensify. Hey, Hutch. Intensify the
Yeah,
treatment.
yeah.
And that's usually in September for me. So I don't know. I fed Pro Sweet on all the highs. Everybody's got at least 2 quarts. The last 7 or 8 highs at the end there, I'm sure by Saturday that'll all be done with them. So I think that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to give it a whirl. I'm going to put some foundation on them highs with the queen excluder on the ones that are really strong. Give them some space. Maybe they'll draw me some wax out.
Yep.
And see what happens there. And then I was just getting to thinking here. I'm thinking about, thinking about waiting for another queen. And on that 1 week hive that I got, it's got a little bit of brood in there, but she ain't all that great. She kind of done for. My question is if I can take one of my other nukes and how would I drop that nuke in there without them going back to home base? That's the problem. It's not cold anymore. Well, it has been cold and all. I don't know. They got a lot of flight during the daytimes is the problem.
DC.
Roger Patterson.
Yeah.
Was that the guy, young fella up in Canada? He was talking about Singer brood chamber management and all that kind of stuff.
It may have been him.
He is now, if that's the same guy, he is working for the University of either Georgia or Florida. An old guy in Britain. Okay. Nope, I don't know him. I did used to watch a guy over in Britain. Hey, Dave. I'm thinking about Rawls or something like that.
There's a Roger Patterson that teaches. He's got a lecture series. He had a lecture series in 2022. He did a lot of lecturing same time in places they had the honey shows.
Probably over there in England.
It could be.
Yeah, Devin Rawls. That's it, Tytrone.
And he wrote a series of books as well.
Or I should say Wayne.
he had his own method of queen rearing too. I think
Took
that's
over David
where I,
Cushman's website from UK also has YouTube videos.
David Christensen.
Crushman.
Cushman.
There was a guy I watched over there, and he was trying to explain beekeeping several years back, and he talked with so much of a dialect. He felt like, well, will you spit them marbles out of your mouth so I can understand you? That's how bad I'm like, geez, couldn't understand what he's saying.
He's from Indiana. He received his biochemistry degree from University of Illinois.
Yeah, real David Cushman, 1946 to 2011. I guess he turned his toes up. David passed away on the 22nd of February 2011. Okay, so this other guy must be,
His understudy or something.
I guess, Roger Patterson. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's what it was. I think I remember. It was a real beginner type of website.
Yeah. And Roger Patterson had a queen rearing method called the punched cell.
Yeah, I've seen that. Yeah, but anyway, anybody wants to come in and talk, come on in. Things up. Darren, you been out in your bees this week? But so yeah, things are starting to roll. The only thing is the weather is kind of crappy.
Yeah, if the weather was a little bit better, I think we'd all be a lot better off in the long run.
Yeah, Darren says it's too cold. Where's the popcorn? It's still in the cupboard. I don't know whether it gives me the bellyache or not. So black soldier fly larvae. I've never heard of that. What's that for? Good for fish or something? Pete said he used the Morris board queen rearing. I never heard of it.
I haven't either. Explain it, Pete.
Chickens. Well, that was the shop today, right?
What happened?
Huh?
What happened?
No, I mean, how was your shop day today?
Oh, I've been busy all week.
Hey, Hutch.
Hey, how you doing, Charlie?
All right. Oh, this is our local, Pennsylvania, I guess, right, Hutch?
I'm actually Harford County.
Harford County. Okay, you're in the same county I am.
Yep, but right on the edge of PA.
We're up around Delta area, or where?
I can spit across the road and hit Farm Grove.
Hit what?
I can right across the street from me is basically about a quarter mile from Farm Grove.
Okay. Hey, Dinah.
Hey, Donna.
Just driving home. So we were on a chat last night. This was in our Baltimore Beekeepers Club, Bill. It's Michael in it. Hutch?
Mark.
Mark. Okay. So, anyway, you were thinking about doing the demery and that kind of stuff too.
Yeah. And last Sunday we took one hive over to about 8 miles from here. Local farm they want bees on their land, but they don't want to mess with bees, and they wanted to know how it would work out. They have a little store set up there where they sell meats and some produce and whatever. So I told them, just let us market out of your store. So we took the hive over, and I took over a 5-gallon bucket of 1-to-1. My wife went over and checked it today, and she said it's almost gone. I have 3 hives here, and I have a 5-gallon bucket about 1-to-1. I made them both at the same time. That's still half full, and she said that one over there for that one colony it's almost gone. So either,
Yeah, but that's you're feeding the world there.
well, right, and I don't know who else in the area may have bees coming over, and I mean I just got back from Philadelphia today, so I've not been able to go over and look, but if you can watch them, you'll kind of see where they fly off to, in the direction they fly off. Because I probably only put that feeder maybe about 100 feet or so away from their colony.
Yeah.
Well, I'm gonna tell you what. If it's that colony eating that much honey, eating that much sugar water, that's a big colony.
Well, I'm wondering if it's not leaking out, because that seems pretty extreme for one.
Well,
too deep for the bees.
I did that for a little bit too, and I'd rather put the feed right on that hive and make sure that hive gets what it needs.
Yeah. Yeah, that's safer.
You got an inner cover, put a quart jar on top or a gallon bucket on top,
or even
put a super on top of that and put the lid on it so nobody else can get in there, and let them get the total benefit of everything.
Well, I think this will probably be it for any sugar feeding for a while. I hope.
Yeah, like Tiny Creek. He stopped feeding. They're plugging out the hive. Ryan said the same thing. You might get nectar bound in there. That's like myself. I gave him 2 quarts. That's a half a gallon. Good enough. At 1 quart, 2 quart. It's basically 12 pounds per gallon. So I gave him about 6 pounds of honey, you might say, because that's the kind of way the Pro Sweet kind of acts. And so that's, it's good enough. They got it's like Ryan was there complaining a couple of weeks ago about the larvae was kind of dry. And I said, well, there's no nectar coming in. So then he fed them, and then he's got a nice moist larvae, and now you got dead nettle and henbit coming in and stuff like that.
Yeah. I'm hoping the forecast is wrong tomorrow, and I can actually get in there and look a little deeper into these boxes. But
yeah, I mean, they were talking about that last night on that chat, and it's okay to get into them. Them bees are more resilient than what you think, depending on how you're getting it in, how long you're getting in. If it's 45 degrees or 47 degrees, and let's say that we're talking February into March, and you're going to do feeding. All right. So you're going to get in there at 45, 47 degrees, put your 2-inch feeding shim on, put your pollen patty on, put your sugar brick on, if that's what you're doing, and get out, and you're in there. Maybe you're not pulling frames,
30 seconds to a minute, and it's all you really need.
You got it all on, close it back up, and you're done.
I'll be honest. I did it a lot colder than that this mid-February, because, like I said, I went down and lifted all those boxes, and one of them I put away. I put to bed for winter, and I knew it had to have been 80 pounds, and it felt like there was nothing in there. Yeah, so I just put a piece of newspaper on and threw some some cane sugar on top of them and closed them back up. Put a shim on there.
Right. And so I got into them on a couple Mondays in a row when it was the best weather there was. It was close to 50 at the time. I took the time off and got into them because of the weather. And the rest of the time, it was cold, but,
Yeah.
like Brian said, the fat Italians, they like to eat.
Yeah, they do.
They did eat a lot this year. I know that. So this is, I don't know. I could still consider myself pretty rookie at this, but I went into winter with 4 and came out with 4. So I guess I'm doing something right, even if it's by accident.
Yeah, you did something right. I will give you that.
Well,
You
it's
did
like-
something right.
It's like Brian up there in Ohio, he had, what was it, 13 or 16 hives, and he come out of the winter with 3.
That's bad.
And what kind of got me was he's always putting Hive of Life fondant on, and he's doing super microbial stuff and all these different products and things. And, he's got the $300 I call it the Swiss Army knives of hives, which are what they are, Apamay hives, and they're the ones that died. The wooden hives are the ones that survived.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, to me, it's like I'd have to kick back and look at my management skills and say, what was wrong with this or something. Yeah, Brian, I hear you. Oh, I'm not bashing at all. My question is for you is management wise, it's got to be something there that's missing. I don't know what. Or I got to thinking about it, Brian. I'm looking at them hives on that video today, and I'm like, man, I'm not sure if I've really liked them queens either. They're okay, but I don't know. But
So are you dead set that you're going to do single brood box management this year, Charlie?
yeah, I mean, I always when I say single brood chamber management, when I go into the honey season, when I do them in my demery, that's single brood chamber management. 2 mediums.
Okay.
And the theory behind that is what Brian going to do? I'm clear, really. Yeah, I mean, definitely she was brooding up. That was sure on these hives today.
Yeah, I mean, I saw a brood last week, but I have yet to see any drone set.
No.
I didn't see any either. You're a good bit south of us too, aren't you, Bill?
Yeah.
I don't know. Single brood chamber management. Okay. This is what it amounts to. If you go into 2 mediums or 1 deep box, she'll lay that whole box up. The cavity is the right size cavity that she'll lay everything up. You just manipulate that hive to where they can't put any honey there, except for maybe up in the corners of the hives, of the frames. And they force them to put everything upstairs up in the honey supers. That's where the beekeeper wants it. Anyway. And I go in the winter with, I'll say, either a double deep or 3 mediums, which is considered a double deep as far as size goes. But I do the single brood, which is 2 mediums or 1 deep. So they forces them to put the honey upstairs, and then I move my brood frames on the top of the box. Now Bill puts the queen with, let's say, a couple frames of brood in there and lets her go, which I'm going to try that this year. I got some hives that are in deeps, and deeps are a little more convenient for that. And put everything upstairs and do it that way. Then I also do my rolling demery where I'm moving cat brood from the bottom up to the top and back down continuously, which is, since I have a hive lifter, that makes it's not as strenuous.
Yeah, I could see where that would be a lot of work otherwise.
Yeah,
Well,
it is. It's a lot of work.
Yeah, so I guess my only understanding of a demery was they would take the queen, shake all the bees into a bottom box, bottom deep, put her in there with some cap brood, some resources, take all the uncapped brood and put it on the top and put 3 to 4 supers in between. But you have to check.
You got it reversed on that.
Well, the idea of that was the nurse bees would come out, they would hatch out, and then she would go in and backfill, and they would put resources up in the supers, and of course nurse bees would go up to the uncapped brood, and they would start making queen cells because they're basically far enough away that they think they're queenless.
Yeah.
So with that method, my understanding is that you have to check often, because otherwise you're going to end up with a whole slew of queens.
Well, you're partially right. If you're going to do that type of demeray, I learned last year, don't put 3 to 4 supers in between. Start with 2. Okay. Queen excluder above and below them, and put all your uncapped brood up top, and then come back in 7 days and kill all the queen cells.
Or take them out to make splits with.
Or take them out to make splits. Yes. One of the two. Well, when you take them out to make splits, you got to put something back in its place, either drawn comb or all cap brood.
Yeah.
Because she's going to be downstairs laying in drawn comb, and she's going to lay that up pretty quick.
And correct me if I'm wrong. So the idea is they'll actually, as all that brood emerges from the very top box, they'll even fill that with honey as well, correct?
They backfill it all with honey, and as the new nurse bees hatch out, they move down to the bottom, because that's where the brood's at, to take care of all that brood.
It just seems little less. You don't have to break them down constantly. You're just in that top box.
Yep, you're in the top box.
Yeah. The issue is it's 6 feet tall.
no.
And I imagine getting a full deep off at on top of 2 to 3, 4 supers could get a little laborsome.
When I start mine, the lid is about right here on me when I start mine. Now, when I'm done, I'm working off of step stool.
Yeah.
Hey there, Lee.
Well, I'm going to try it with one hive this year just to see how it works.
Yeah.
I'm actually, it might make it easier. I'll just make some nukes out of some of those queen cells.
Yeah.
And I don't have to take too much I don't have to split my hives too hard.
That's right. Because when you're done, when you pull that honey off of those demarays at the end of June.
Here's your questions, your answer from last night.
Yeah.
When you pull all that honey off those frames, off those hives in June, those bees have got to go somewhere, because you're going to break it down to your winter setup. So now you've got late season splits.
Right.
This is where your pro suite comes in, and your probiotics, your apis biologics, and all that. That's where all this comes in. You split those down into either 10 frame or 8 frame. I take 8 frames and make a 6 frame nuke out of it.
With a feeder, I guess?
Because I put a 2 frame feeder in.
Right.
All right. And they will fill with honey as well, because you can put drawn comb in there, and they will fill a super above it with honey from the fall flow and from that feeder. They will fill it.
And that's for them for the winter.
That's for them for the winter. But also I'm feeding apis biologics. I'm feeding probiotics, and I'm also feeding a couple other mineral bars and stuff like that so that they build up faster. They get that fat on them before the winter.
Yeah. Yeah, that actually answers my question better from last night, because my question was at the end of the flow and you have a demery, at that point you should have so many bees. And my question was, how do you put the genie back in the bottle? You can't break that down just to 2 single deeps.
Yeah, you can.
Yeah, you can. That's what I do. I break them down to
But
double deep.
you're talking
Well,
about
you're
doing
saying yeah, but Bill, you're saying you're selling some bees
You're
off
splitting
into
out.
nukes.
I'm splitting when I'm taking that honey off.
Mhm.
Usually I get 3 to 4 supers of honey off of it, and the deep
Right.
that's full of honey. All right. So I'll take those 3 or 4 mediums off of there and put them on the truck, lid on the bottom, lid on top. Bees can't get back in them. And then all the bees that are left, I give them a day to calm down. And usually I have a mass of bees on the front of this hive, right? Because it's double deep now.
Right.
Now I go get 4 or 5 queens and I start making splits.
Right. Yeah, that's makes more sense than just trying to squeeze them all back into two deeps.
Yep. And the queen that was in that bottom box, if she's 2 years old, you better plan on requeening either that fall or the next spring, because she's pretty much done.
Yeah.
And if she's a year old, you could get away with waiting until the next spring and let the flow get started and then squish her and requeen, because she's pretty much done as well.
Yeah.
The 2-year-old queen definitely done. The year-old queen, the new fresh queen, yeah, she's pretty much done.
Yeah, I actually have
In a
one.
demery, Bill?
Huh?
In a demery or what?
Yep. Because
she's laying up so much.
She's constantly laying eggs, constantly. That's all she's doing.
Yeah, because I guess it's their instinct not to really fill that bottom with any resources.
No.
Or very little.
Right. They want to move all those resources up. And the way these frames will rotate out is you put eggs, larva, and cap brood in the bottom. If you can get 2 frames of cap brood, that's even better. And then 2 frames of cap brood in the center, a frame of eggs and a frame of larva, and then the other 6 frames are drawn comb. You're going to have a constant rotation of nurse bees coming out of that, and she's going to have a constant rotation of frame to a frame and a half of open cells to lay weekly.
Yeah. Yeah, that's just a manufacturing plant at that point.
Yeah, it is. That's what she's doing. That's all she does is lay eggs.
That's like Brad the Cajun Homestead. He was talking about, of course, now he's in Louisiana, so he requeens every year, but his queens are running 12 months out of the year.
Right.
And he gets about 18, 19 months out of them, and they're dead. So like he was showing in his video this week, he made a nuke, put the old queen in that nuke box. Now she was I think Brad, what was it? Either a July or August queen. Of course, now they have a lot, they're winter, they don't really have a winter, so they can go into October and be 70 degrees.
Yep.
And anyway, the queen didn't lay any honey, didn't do a honey crop that year. So she's after the honey crop. She'll go through the winter, and it'll be her first year of making brood for honey production.
Yeah.
July and August, he was saying.
Yep.
And that person who's getting that queen, that's a true overwintered queen, where she's not actually did any laying for the honey crop that when he gets that queen, and she'll take off.
Yep.
And Whereas, and then he was also stating that he would let that hive requeen itself like a walkaway split. And he just did it here recently this month because it's 70 some degrees. It's summertime down there. But he'll kill that queen and he'll be mating, grafting queens, and he'll put a grafted queen in there in July, August of this year. So that'll be a fresh queen for the next honey season.
Yeah. So that's like when you do the demarray and you split those bees down, that's a fresh queen. She's never been through a honey flow. Same thing Brad's doing with his. So you have a fresh queen that's overwintered with those bees, and she's ready to rock and roll the next spring.
Yeah.
Now, she's laid a few winter bees, and that's it. So she's ready to go.
Chad wants to know where you go to Brad's. It's go to Cajun Homestead YouTube channel. Subscribe to Brad. Isn't that right, Brad? Or you can jump on tonight and do some talking like you've been doing.
Yeah. Don't be shy, Brad.
I'm subscribed, Brad.
Yeah, he just did 10 nukes here, I think, today or something like that. Of course,
Yeah, he said he sold 10 today. That's pretty good.
I just ordered one from Lloyd today.
Yep. And all that. So,
but yeah, it's a way to make a lot of honey and a lot of bees, and I enjoy doing it.
Yeah, and the appeal of preventing swarms,
yeah,
that goes a long way too.
Yeah,
like I said, I'll try it with one colony. I probably don't have the woodenware to do it for all of them, but
yeah, when you start pulling that honey off there, you're going to be surprised at how many bees are in that hive.
Yeah, that's what I hear, and what was that guy? I'm not a big fan of the guy. He's got kind of a British accent. Another bearded beekeeper, but he said maybe 130 pounds of honey off of one colony.
Yeah, you're talking about Black Mountain honey.
No. I think he's in New Hampshire or something.
Yeah, I know who you're talking about.
Yeah.
I don't know who that would be. You're not going to get 130 pounds off.
The bee whisperer. That's what his name is.
Yeah. Oh, that guy.
Yep.
Yeah.
Now, if they do it right and you're not in a drought, because that's got a lot to do with it.
Yeah, it all depends on the flow, I guess, right?
Yep. It all depends on the flow and how hard of a flow you get. But you figure 4 boxes of honey at 60 pounds a box.
Yeah. Yeah. Well.
Oh, Jonathan.
Yeah, what the hell? What's his name? Jonathan somebody?
Jonathan Stevens, Old Glory Bees.
No, the bee whisperer. The bee whisperer.
Yeah. Peter something.
Yeah, that's it. Peter.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
So have you ever raised queens before, Hutch?
I have not. I have managed to catch a cell that was a queen was getting ready to emerge, and I pulled that frame out and stuck it in a queenless hive. So in that regard, I guess I did, but I didn't do it intentionally. But she was literally, they were working her out of the cell, and I was like, "Yep, I caught this just in time." And I real quick actually cut the cell off the frame and stuck it in that other hive.
There you go. Let her walk right in.
Yep.
It looks like Ryan is in his corn patching truck.
That's right.
You chasing storms tonight, huh?
Swarm.
No, yeah, Bill, you were talking about the requeening every year and all, and or every 2 years, and I've requeened about 90% of my hives last year, and it paid off big time going through.
Oh yeah, yeah, it does.
It's
Now-
crazy.
Or now, Ryan, are you doing it every year or every other year?
I've never really done it. I would just pick a colony after 2 or 3. I don't mark my queen, so I never really kept track of them. But let's see, when I would find a bad brood pattern or something, I would just take I run a lot of the queen castles. I built some of those, and I drop cells in there, and I'll just take one of those fresh queens and replace them. But this past year, I replaced everything, and good Lord, I mean, it's those queens. They've never seen a nectar flow because they hatched out in early June, and it's crazy.
It makes a difference, doesn't it?
Yeah, I'll tell you what. The only thing is, it's scary doing that because you take a production hive, you squish the old queen, you put that cell in, or if you buy a mated queen, and there's things that can go wrong with that. Then you're back then you're back to a paper combine or something that it doesn't always go as smooth as you think.
Yeah, I mean it can get really scary.
Yeah.
Now, there's interesting about what Brad was saying. For bad brooding, you're behind the 8 ball.
Yep.
And that was my issue really since I started beekeeping. I never really worried about the queen.
The thing of it is, you never worried about it because you never were taught about it.
Right.
And that's my biggest gripe.
Yep.
Is that everything's about the new beekeeper, which is fine. What about us experienced folks that we really need to dial in certain aspects of our beekeeping? It's just like last year, I lost half of my honey production hives. They were dead outs in the winter. And the other half were queens that, like Brad said, they had almost no brood pattern. I got one right now, just like it was last spring. 2 frames with about that much cap brood on a 6-inch medium frame instead of the whole frame being egged out. And I had a bunch of hives like that, and I put all fresh queens in that were mated. I got 1,000 pounds of honey out of them, and they took off like gangbusters. I thought I was going to get 500 pounds, and here I got 1,000 pounds. I couldn't believe it, but it's fresh queens that lay the snot out of the eggs.
Yep.
Well, like all your local clubs and everything, the people that teach the classes or the people that are answering the questions, that new beekeepers will say, well, how long will a queen last? And they tell these people, I've heard, 4 years, 5 years. And I'm like, man, I mean, yeah, she might have a heartbeat that long, but she ain't going to be a good brood machine.
Because you got to remember now, some of these queens that you get with nukes, if you buy a nuke from somebody, that queen in there is probably at least 2 years old because they're trying to get rid of her. All right, you get package feeds. Some of those queens are AI queens. AI queens are notoriously under inseminated.
Right.
So those same people with those 3, 4, 5-year-old queens, they see that she's still in there. They probably go through their hives and crush supersedure cells too.
Yeah, exactly. And there's a reason that they make supersedure cells, because they know that queen is coming to the end of her laying life and the end of her life period.
Yep.
And you see more supersedure cells after the 3rd year than you do in the first 3 years of their life.
Now, there was actually the state of Maryland had this gal zoom in, and I was there, and it was one of them situations where I wasn't thinking about, really keying in on anything about queen rearing or queens until you have a problem like I did. And then I was like she was so much information, it just made you sleepy. And I seen the same person give the same presentation on a video recorded out of Man Lake. And she got up to the queen portion of it and she said, oh, after the first year, the queen egg laying production reduces by 60% or 40%,
Wow.
by
Boy, it's
40%.
40%.
40%.
Yeah.
And it's like,
And after the second year, it drops another 40%. So now you're down 80% of your original production with that queen. Now, I'm going to make a statement. Nancy, if she's on here, she'll disagree with me. The very most important bee in that hive is that queen. The second most important bee in that hive is the drone. Then comes your workers and nurse bees. You have to pay attention to what that queen's doing and how she's doing it. You have to pay attention to her nutrition and what she's getting to eat and how much they're feeding her. Because if they're not feeding her enough, her egg laying ability is going to drop exponentially.
yeah.
So that nutrition for her makes the biggest difference in the world. That's why I feed Apis Biologics all summer long.
In what form? In sugarwood or what?
I drop in a 2-ounce bar every week. Those new super fuel bars that have the Apis in it, I'll be dropping one in every 2 weeks. And when I had the packages of Apis, I was sprinkling on the frames every week.
That guy will be on your chat Monday, right, Bill?
He's supposed to be. I emailed him the link today. I haven't heard back anything yet, so I'm going to text him in the morning and make sure he got it. He is supposed to be on here Monday night.
Okay.
Hey, Charlie, I'm going to jump out of here. I'm having a water heater issue. I'll jump back on if you guys are still on later.
All right, Hutch. Nice to meet
All right,
you.
guys.
Yeah, Hutch.
Same. Thanks.
Congrats on the overwintering.
You talking about them bee bites or something like that?
No, not the bee bites. It's a white. It's called super fuel bars,
Yeah.
and they've got Apis in them.
And what's it like? Damascus. Okay.
They got Apis, a little bit of coconut oil, a little bit of sugar that's inverted, and some other minerals, but it's got a lot of Apis in it. It's like 8% Apis. But I make sure that my queens have that nutrition available for them, and I make sure that when I go in, if I look for the queen, if I see eggs and larvae, I'm good. I move on, unless I'm doing a deep dive in my hives. Then I find that queen, and I'll count the number of bees around her and how many of them are bringing food to her while she's moving around the hive.
Do you also feed sugar water while you're using them bars?
No, I don't feed any liquid until after the dearth, till after I pull honey, and then I put the Pro Sweet on them. I don't cut it. I throw the Pro Sweet to them every week. Refilling feeders religiously.
And what time of year is that?
August.
In August. Okay.
Yeah, I feed from August to the end of October till they quit taking it. And if I need to throw another super on there, I do, because I know they pack some of it away, especially if I'm having a fall flow.
So, Ryan, where did you get your queens at in June? Did you make them yourself?
Yeah. Yep. That was my second year grafting. I've never done it, and I'll tell you, not last year, but the year before, that was the first time I tried it. And believe it or not, I did 30. I did 2 bars. I think it was 15 on each.
Yeah, there's 15 on
And
each.
both years, because I don't need to do multiple rounds. I only did 1 round each year, and I only had 3 misses both years. And out of the 3, 2 cups fell off of the little slot. The JZBZ cups fell down and were laying on the other bar. So I really only had 1 miss on each. And those queens, the first year I just kind of practiced with it. I didn't really use the cells. I only used a couple of them. But last year I used them for all my my hives and all, and it was a good success.
I guess that's for me. Brian says he wanted to know how much my fees were. At least I think he was talking to me.
The things master beekeepers don't teach you and all that stuff.
I like that.
I do too.
That's a good video title.
It is.
That's right.
It really. We could also do one on the things that beginners aren't taught in bee classes.
Every single night I watch these chats that you all do. I learn something every single night.
Well, I'll tell you, I could use that like if we're doing queen bearing and things that that would be a good queen rearing, things that the master beekeepers don't teach you.
And all that stuff.
I like that.
But yeah, Charlie, when I did my grafting, and I'm gonna do the same thing this year, I used a single 5-frame nuke and I just packed it out, had my 2 brood frames, pollen, resource, and a blank in the middle. And they drew them out no problem. I mean, I don't even know how many frames of nerves. It was overflowing. I put a screen at the screen bottom board to have them airflow and all, and it was good. And then when I took those cells out of there, that hive is obviously queenless, and I just left one for them, and that hive made it through the winter. So
no, I mean I had Troy Hall, I think it's from up in New Hampshire, and the first thing I actually wasn't so much on the show that we put on his presentation, but I had him on the phone, and he said, "Oh yeah, you're in the Mid-Atlantic area, no more than 2 years." And then you got Brad here from Cajun Home. He's in his area every year. Are you Eric, Ryan?
Yeah.
I didn't know you had a radio call or not.
No, I'm here.
So, and then he was saying, like up there in New Hampshire, he said there might be a queen that's really good, and he'll let her go through, and most of the time she'll make it through. Sometimes it'll die out on him, but get through. And yeah, she's laying up a storm the 3rd year, but you can tell she's a 3rd-year queen versus a 1- and 2-year-old. Those two are still out layer that 3rd year. So even up there where they have a long, long winter, her reproduction system is totally wore out by that time.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's like I get a chance to talk to beekeepers from all over, and I deal with a lot of commercial guys, and it's interesting to talk to the commercial guys because they'll come in and say, "Well, I'm doing this and this and this and this," and they order a bunch of stuff, and then when they come back to pick it up, that's when you really get to sit down and talk to them and say, "Okay, well, I thought about what you said. So why are you doing this and why are you doing that? And what are the benefits of this and what are the benefits of that?" And it makes them think. And they'll come back with an answer. "Oh, it's just because that's how I was taught to do it." But they don't think about the repercussions of some of the things that they do is not beneficial to the bees that they have.
Yeah.
So it's really interesting to just talk to them and get their perspective on beekeeping sometimes. And then when you point it out to them that, hey, this may not be beneficial for your bees, why don't you try this? Then they go back and try it. And then the answer, the proverbial answer I always get is, "I don't have time to do that. It takes too long."
Yeah.
So that's why the sideliners and backyard beekeepers, the hobbyists, we take better care of our bees then the commercial guys take care of theirs. Because to them, they are a tool. They're a working machine. They're a tool. To us, they're bees. We need to we're trying to keep them alive. So yeah, they can produce honey and reproduce bees and queens, whatever we're doing with them, but it's not on that scale that the commercial guys are doing. So we have more time to spend with our bees, even though we bitch and complain about how busy we are in the spring and summer taking care of bees. We do take that time and take care of them the right way.
Minnesota Mike, what is that PVC boards?
A what?
Anyone here messing with PVC boards for lids or bottom?
He's talking about PVC.
PVC board.
And I've used I built a couple nukes out of that stuff, and I don't know, I wouldn't overwinter in them, but I got a whole bunch from a guy, and I'm gonna build some more just for summertime. It don't rot.
Yeah, Tom made a good comment there via honeybees. He made a good comment, and he's right in what he said. And that's exactly right. It's my statement about the bees being a tool to the commercial guys. Yeah, they are. They're tools, and they have to be very efficient with their time. So, and they're in it, like Tom said, they're in it for the money.
Is that your background noise, Ryan?
To me?
I don't know.
No, I'm quiet. I don't have nothing here.
Okay.
Somebody hear something? I can't see the chat.
I don't know. I heard some. I thought maybe it was your radio. I don't know. Or maybe it's my heater over here. I don't know.
All right. It sounds like a radio in the background.
Right.
It's probably your two-way.
No, it ain't my radio.
Are they talking? Is it quiet?
Yeah, I'm quiet here.
Oh, good.
Who knows?
My shift doesn't start till 10.
Oh, okay.
Oh, I don't know. It's just, hey, Tom and Melissa.
Hey, Tom, Melissa.
You know, you keep dialing it in as far as, you know, what it's like these things, like you say, replacing queens and learning how to graft. And some people do, you know, single brood chamber versus demery. I do a different demery than what Bill does, and all that kind of stuff. And, you know, it kind of sort of depends on your style of beekeeping, number one, and number two, what you like.
Yeah, I mean, if I used all wooden hives and I had a hive lifter like Charlie, I would probably do the rolling demery on at least one, just to see what it's like doing and give me the experience of doing it.
But like now, once you do the style that you do, when you put her down in the bottom, you don't never rest with that bottom hive the rest of the summer, do you?
Nope. I don't go in it at all. Now when I pull the honey into June, 1st of July, I'm down in that box. So.
And you have to have drawn comb for that, right? For that bottom box.
You do.
Yeah, and I was watching Black Mountain out of England. He said foundation, and I'm like, well, he might be like Ian Stepler up there, where they can put a box of foundation out there, and in 7 days' time, it'll be drawed out and filled with honey.
Yeah.
You know, if you don't want, you know, you got to understand your flow area. We don't get that kind of flow.
Yeah.
And,
but where he's at over there in Wales, South Wales, England, that when their flow hits, it hits hard.
See, I don't know their flow. I kind of assumed that is what they did
Yeah.
and all that. So there's the difference there. Some like Bob Walker down there, he followed him to the letter and he put foundation in the bottom. And I'm like, I wouldn't have done that, you know. And of course, he was also trying to pull more splits off the top when the queen cells hit. And he kept dwindling the hive down. Is what the
Yeah.
problem he
You
had.
can't do that.
Can't do that at all.
Yeah, I'm gonna run into some problems here in probably about 2 to 3 weeks because I'm out of drawn comb bill. So it's gonna be interesting spring. And normally I'd go through and equalize because I'd have those older queens that only got 2 frames of brood, and the younger queen would have 5, 6, and I would take some from her and give it to them. And this year they're all looking good, and I don't have drawn comb, and I run singles, so I'm kind of stuck. But Tom and Melissa were telling me just throw a box of foundation on top, get them drawn the deep frames, and
I
guess
brought that question to the meeting
Go.
last night that me and Mark Hutch were in last night, and then also here tonight earlier on when you were coming on, I guess. And if you got a little bit of a flow, you said you had dead nettle down there or him bit, throw it on there. And I'm going to do this. I think that's what I'm going to do on these strong highs. I'm going to give them space. Number one, for the bees themselves, literally. And if there's any type of nectar coming in, because there's another girl that I was on a chat right before mine, and she's only half an hour away from me. And she said that they were capping honey. They weren't moving honey around. I don't think they really move honey around too much. But have I ever made comb honey? No, I've been wanting comb honey, but I don't know. I never have. I think that would be a hard sell for me
Yeah, it would be.
because most people don't know what it is after you look at it.
No, I mean, people buy it around here, but it's not as popular as it once was. So I don't know. It's hard to sell.
it's expensive.
Yeah, it's expensive, number one, because it's so much work. And number two, the wax for the comb is expensive and hard to get. So, I've had people come in. Do you have wax foundation? No, I do not. Oh, man, Lake said I was going to get some, and I haven't gotten it yet. It's been almost a year.
So Tom must be starting to dip. Was he doing a bit of a Copenhagen in there? Yeah, I don't know. 20. I think usually I've seen it right around $20-$25.
For what's that, a 4x4 square?
Yeah, I guess so. That's what, a pound?
What's that?
Comb honey?
I don't know. But yeah, I don't know. So anyway, nothing new as far as the bee crisis, I guess.
No, I haven't heard anything in quite a while. And you would think it's been what, almost a month now, or a little more?
Yeah. They don't know. They probably don't know any more than what they did.
Or they do and they're not saying.
Yeah. Maybe it's because maybe their bees were all vaccinated, and that's why.
May have been.
I don't know. Never can tell.
Yep.
Some kind of a virus of some sort, I guess.
We'll find out one day. Maybe.
Yeah, you guys remember that the plane crash that in the right here in DC,
Yep.
and there's hunters from that, I forget where they went, and they passed away in that plane crash. Well, had somebody reach out to me the other day, and I guess because those were Southern Maryland guys, and one of them was a beekeeper, and I guess his wife or someone in the family is looking for someone to, I guess figure out what they're gonna do with the bees and all. So I'm gonna go, see what's going on with all that once they reach out to me.
You mean that's the one that was hit by the helicopter?
Yeah. Yep. I guess one of the guys on there had, like 15 hives or so, and they're down where I live in Southern Maryland. So the wife's trying to find somebody.
Well, maybe you'll pick up some hives.
Yeah. Or, see whatever the family wants to do and all. I'm going to tomorrow when I get off. It's going to be pretty warm here, like 65, I think. Midday, I got to go to some of the people I'm mentoring and look through their colonies, which I'm not doing that next year. I'm not mentoring anymore next year. Too much work.
Yeah. I got one left that I'm mentoring, and I don't mind helping somebody else. Don't get me wrong. I'll help somebody out. They ask for help. They ask the questions. I'll help them out. But it's just when you're mentoring new beekeepers, you end up doing all the work for them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They got some pretty looking equipment though. Brand new.
Oh yeah. It's brand new. Of course it is.
Here's a question. I don't think they would. Roy, he's up in Michigan.
Yeah.
If it's,
I mean, you just want the cluster a little broke. So is it
you
getting
got to be, let's say 45 or a little bit more, 40.
Yeah.
I used to do 40, 47, 48, and then they would kind of fly a little bit on me. So then I did 45, which the cluster is broke. And you can, it'll penetrate and all. I think you'll be fine.
Yeah.
You don't really need them to fly. I don't like them flying. I like them loose in the hive. 45 degrees, they're loose.
Yeah.
Yep. Now I'm a hot tub sensation.
Hey, Bill, next year, when I do, because I'm going to do formic in the spring, that'll kind of slow down the queens a little bit, right? A little bit.
It'll slow her down for a couple of weeks.
That's what I want, really.
Yep. It'll slow her down while that treatment's on there. But once you pull that organic acid off of there, the formic off, within 3 days, it dissipated out of the hive. So she's going to be back up and laying like she was in a week.
I've never really seen any of that happening. Maybe I'm not really looking for it. Especially in September.
It's something that you need to make sure that you tell everybody that's going to be using Formic Pro, because then you'll get the phone call. Oh, you told me to do this, and now my queen's not laying at all. I think she's dead. You need to buy me a queen. No, she's not dead. She's just slowed down some while you got Formic Pro on there. She'll come back.
Well, you said you didn't notice that in September, Charlie.
Mm-hmm. I never really
Not in September, but in the spring.
But say, have you ever done it in the spring, Charlie?
No.
Oh, okay.
I don't normally treat in the spring. I treat July, August. Usually used to be April more. Well, I'm gonna get rid of that. And of course, they got that's the newest thing. Well, we can talk about that here in a couple of minutes. And then September, usually Labor Day weekend, the heat, humidity is heat's 80 to 80 degrees or less. Humidity is low. And I hit them with Formic Pro. Then I start OA around 1st of November, end of October, and go through the winter with that.
Right.
And at least a couple times a month.
Did you where Mike Berry said he did not like the Viroxan strips? It's burning too much brood and all.
I didn't hear that.
Yeah, in his last video he posted, because those strips go in each, I think they go over each frame, and he said it's it's burning the brood, and it'll kind of milk that comb,
Really?
Kind of like the Apivar strips do the same thing.
Viroxan is very strong.
Yeah, he said he didn't like them. He's not using them again, he said.
Yeah, Viroxan. Yes, DC, the Viroxan is the OA strip. So I saw a comment on here about the dribble.
Yeah, that was Dino. And Roy said no, he wasn't using the dribble.
No. And when you do the dribble in the wintertime, you're only getting the top 1/3 of the cluster. You're not getting the entire cluster. To do it properly, you have to do it before it gets cold, because you should break that hive down and hit each box individually with its part of that 50 milliliter syringe. And by the time you get to the last frame in the top, you should be empty. That's the proper way to do the dribble. If you're not doing it that way, you're only getting the top 1/3 of the cluster, and it's not doing any good at all.
Yeah, I've never heard it doing that way. I heard they just go over the top of it and that's it. But they used to, like I say, I did it maybe one time years ago, and then I went with a vapor. Easy Ox is supposed to be coming out with an oxaloacid pad. Hopefully, Mike will get that through the EPA.
Yeah, it would be nice if he could get something like that through the EPA and get it approved, and then get it approved in the States. So, but I know that it's going to be hard to do here in Virginia.
Why? What's their problem?
Don't get me started.
So anyway, I guess the next thing we can talk about is now there is Apivar 2.0.
Oh, Lord.
It is out. You can
Is it
look that up.
stronger? Is it stronger?
Who knows? It's supposed to kill better in the first 3 weeks of the treatment. But they don't explain what they did. And then they've also come out with a much better way. No more nails through the hole to hang it. It's got these twist ears that the two little ears go out to hang on the two frames. I did see that part. And you can actually cut it to certain size frames or whatever. I'm not sure exactly. But it's out there. Go to Virox. What is it called? Who makes it?
Apis
No, Vita Pharma.
Vito Pharma.
I go to their website there, and they got a 2.0 coming out.
Yeah, it kills 40% rather than 30%.
Well, 40% ain't a whole hell of a lot.
I know.
I got to get a drink. I'll be back.
Let's see what they say.
Here I am, Bill. I got Apivar strips in my hives right now. Well, the ones that don't have the supers I just added, but that's because I already bought them. I didn't want to waste them. I won't be using them again though.
Well, I can tell you Virginia hasn't approved them yet. Maryland hadn't approved them yet either.
What, the 2.0 one?
Yep. They've only been approved in 20 states.
Huh. Is it approved in PA?
No. It's approved in Arkansas, Arizona, Colorado, DC, Delaware, Georgia, Idaho, Kentucky, Kansas, Louisiana, Maine, Missouri, Mississippi, North Dakota, NE, New Mexico, Nevada, Ohio, Oklahoma, Rhode Island, South Carolina, Vermont, West Virginia, and Wyoming. Those are the only places it's approved for use.
Yeah, it's not approved here yet.
And they don't look like they're plastic. They look like they're paper or cardboard.
Something about you could trim them and different things, but they don't really come out and say, you know, we did this, we did that. And he's from Nebraska. I don't think they have bees out there, do they? I thought they just had cows.
Well, they got bees out there.
Well, Peabody took out, got a work call. Okay, see ya. Swarm call. No, they came out with that. I looked that up.
It's got to be a stronger formulation.
It said maximum efficiency halfway through, pull them out. And I've heard about that on the old stuff. Scrape the propolis off of them and then reinstall. AJW. All right, going to bed. Okay. Yeah, I want to go with apricot, fly them all. Kind of, I like Benny's idea of being more organic. What park is that, Jack or Rick? In the park, what park is that? Oh, actually, Brian says it has less. It's got 3% instead of 3.3%.
Well, I don't know how it can be more effective. Because if I'm not mistaken, it's in flea and tick spray, it's like 3.6 of Amitraz.
Mm.
And they're still saying the French, they did a study in June of 2024 that the mites are still resistant to Amitraz. and it's not related to a single gene, to one single mutation of the gene. So I don't know if they reduced it. I'd question that one.
Yeah.
Sounds like snake oil to me. You know what I mean? So where's Brad at? Is he still on here?
Brad.
Mm-hmm. Tom's on here somewhere.
I was looking for Brian's. What did he say it was? I'm supposed to like his listing. I got to copy that down. I'll forget it. I can't.
There it is, right there. You just
Yeah, I
had it.
know it is. I know it is. I have to go over here so I can highlight it and copy and paste. Got it. Oh my.
So if there's any beekeepers on there from my local area, just so you understand and know that if you're from New Market, Virginia South, down around Harrisonburg, Augusta County, down in that area, I now have equipment in the Ace Hardware store rocking our hardware down there with the co-op. So and they're very excited. Let's show them some support.
Hey, Mike. Hey, Mike. How's the extended release stuff coming along? We were talking about it. We were waiting for your
Waiting to see if you're going to be on here.
yeah, see whether or not you're going to be able to get that done sometime relatively soon. So where's that store at? Or was it
Harrisonburg, Virginia.
about 40 miles south of you, I guess.
Yep. Save some people a long drive.
Yeah.
So what's the biggest bag of OA you make, Mike?
Was so many ounces or so, around a pound.
Yeah, I think it was 14 ounces.
But I think he said he was coming out with something bigger. Yeah, I believe he was coming out with a bucket, Clay.
Yeah, I think he was too.
He had to find the right type of bucket.
Yeah.
You know.
So I wish I'd get my bees this weekend, but I can't. it's gonna be too daggone cold.
Still working on the matrix we will use to testing before we jump in with too many eggs in the basket. Also working on the California registration. That's going to be hard to get.
Yep. So, Mike, if you need a place in Virginia to test it, let me know.
Am I seeing any frames of brood? Yeah, I'm seeing frames of brood, but I don't have many. It's been so cold here that there has been some fly days, but knowing that it's going to get into the 30s and 40s at night, and it's still that way.
Yeah.
I really don't want to bust open any of my boxes to break them seals. I've been, over the last month, I did, pollen patties, I did sugar bricks. I'm finishing up in the last week and a half or two. I've been putting some Pro Sweet on, which I don't normally do, but I went ahead and put a quart on, or at least, well, each one hive got 2 quarts. And popcorn. Okay. Yeah.
Popcorn is an OA metrics.
So that's kind of where I'm at. The next thing I'm going to do, maybe tomorrow, if it gets a little bit on the warmer side, we've had a lot of wind here. We've had the rain coming through, and it's gotten cold. And we did have a few flight days early this week. I did pull a nuke up. It's a insurance hive where that one dead out that I had, and I pulled up a deep frame, and she had laid that frame up both sides from corner to corner with eggs. So I didn't want to disturb that. I kept it in the nuke box to keep the heat up.
Yep.
And all that stuff. So that's what I'm looking at, Tom and Melissa. I think what I'm going to do is something that Ryan was just on here did. He did it on several of his highs. I think the maple nectar is coming in. Some friends of mine said that they were seeing nectar. I'm going to drop some foundation mediums on with a queen excluder tomorrow on these really super strong highs where they might need bee space. I also had some 2-inch shims in there for feeder shims, and I wasn't feeding it. Well, I was feeding some liquid, but they were drawing about that much comb, as far as like either drone comb or worker comb in there. So they're in the drone or in the, the wax building mode to a certain extent. Yeah, Doug. It's cool here. It's not cold. Not like the 3 foot of snow you probably have up there in Saskatchewan. Why? Oh, Doug, didn't you send me a link to some kind of a program where you can it'll make a cut sheet on when you were doing your migratory lids and stuff? I know Bracken was complaining about him cutting up that plywood that he bought out there, and he had some stuff left over and he didn't quite utilize it as best. I was thought, well, he would actually benefit from that. Well, there we go.
That is your heater. I hear it now.
All right. Hope. That's where I found when I do the demery, you put that brood upstairs, they'll go through that queen excluder like crazy.
Yep.
and all that.
I've never had bees that won't go through an excluder, especially if you put brood above it.
Yeah, you got the AC on down there, and I got the heater in here. That's kind of chilly. And then Paul down there, he's down in Louisiana too, and he's 37 as a low and 81 at the high tomorrow. Crazy. I don't know. We'll see what happens, Hope. That's all I can tell you.
Yep.
And Clay's got mess cleaning up and shit. I'm like, well, you know, I didn't have too much of a mess. I got some, I need to take a 5-gallon bucket out there and throw my wax into it so I can throw it in a solar wax melter here in the summertime and all that. It's amazing, you know, when you start cleaning off that bird comb, how much wax you can, you know, you can accumulate over a summertime. All that stuff. But anyway,
How much snow did you get up there, Mike?
Hmm. Got 1
An
inch.
inch. You must be in southern Vermont instead of northern Vermont.
Clay says his is full of nectar. Well, I'm gonna put them on there. I'm gonna see what happens. If anything, I give my bees, especially these strong hives. I mean, I got some strong hives.
Yep.
And I can't see the frames when I open them up because there's 1.5 inch bees on top of the frames.
Yeah. Yeah, I've got nectar coming in too, Clay.
Like I say, now Mike's, he was saying too much OA ingested by the bees is hard on her. I guess is that dribble method, I guess.
No, it's any method.
Okay.
It's hard on their gut.
I hope he got himself a non-working refrigerator to make it warmer. No more lifting buckets over a chest freezer. Yeah, definitely. Definitely hope. Yeah, just I find a upright refrigerator, you can get 3 buckets in there pretty easy. One on top of one and one underneath that little shelf where you put the light in. Now you can also mount the light somewhere else. Usually it's better always to mount it on the bottom and let the heat rise. But anyway, I got it up on a shelf with a little fan in there circulating and everything. Not too far from black. Nah, it's a little early on that, about a month or at least for me.
Yeah, he's hitting it about right down there.
There's something there that everybody should know. You should spray them with 1-to-1 before you dribble. And all. Well, anybody else want to come on?
Yeah. Come on in here.
If not, I think we're going to close up a little bit early tonight. I got to get out and I'm the pick tomorrow, which means person in charge. So I got to be some picking in the morning.
You got to be there on time. In other words.
Yeah, that's what it amounts to. Actually, I got to get up so I can go to McDonald's for my breakfast and get there back before everybody shows up. The wild cherries are popping now. I think, yeah, mostly the maples are.
Yep.
And all that. I did actually, you're right, Clay. I did see some cherry trees. The buds were coming out on them. Here, I forget where I seen them, but I did see them. I was at a lady's place. I took a load of mulch there yesterday, and I was looking. They had a lot of oaks and stuff like that. It wasn't blooming, but there was this one tree I seen them bloom. Then I looked at the bark, and I said, "Yeah, well, that's a wild, like a choke cherry, as I call it." DC's watching lots of videos. Yeah, well, depends on who you watch, whether they know what they're talking about.
That's true.
I would say that your grafting class is definitely going to be late this year.
Yeah.
Everything else is cold.
Yep.
Which actually kind of helps me out because I'm supposed to be going. I don't know. We should be going down to Virginia to pick up, or down to Georgia to pick up bees. Probably a week or two before the class, hopefully.
Yeah, I got packages coming April the 8th.
Yeah. Yeah, you can watch mine. I haven't put a lot out here lately. Hasn't really been a whole lot to do. Maybe I'll shoot something tomorrow if it isn't too windy and cold, showing me putting super boxes on, give you an update of what it looks like. Winter plum, star magnolia, and other magnolias are starting. That's Diana. Diana, she's in Maryland.
Yep.
She's kind of west of me a little bit. Barn Hills. Where are you at, Barn Hill? Barn Hill, you're Keith. I don't have you. I don't know where you live at. Put in the chat where you live so I can fill out my paperwork.
Northeast Arkansas.
Are you down in the rice paddy country? I guess that's in the south. Right, Keith? Hey, Robert. Yeah. That's what I remember when I went through Arkansas was all the rice paddies. I didn't know we grow rice in this country.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now see, 21st B, which is Michael, meet Barn Hill, which is Keith, and you're both in the same state.
Yeah.
You're in the hills. Okay. Clay wants to know, is the Bradford pears popping? I haven't seen anything around here.
Yeah, I got the pods on the limbs are out, but they haven't opened yet. Just like cherries haven't opened yet. Tell you what, when those cherries open there in the parking lot at the store, the parking lot's white.
Yeah. Yeah, Doug, that'd be a pretty good idea with that clear cover. I can do an 08.
Yeah.
Way. that will show everybody how much it goes up or goes down or whatever.
Yeah.
I know that Doug there does it in the top, and he likes it going down and all that. Yeah, Brian, I am definitely going to do a multi-part series on the Demery. I am going to really try to make a very detailed video of that for everybody. I know that I forget what her name is. She lives out in, I think it's Amber. Yeah, Amber out there in Oklahoma wanted to get a video at that on that. So I last year I was going to try to do it, and I had a catastrophe. The year before that, I was totally surprised on how many bees were inside the boxes and everything like that. So I will. And all that.
Yeah, you do one on your rolling Demeray, do a series, and I'll do one on mine. Then we can compare them in the end in the fall.
Yeah, Brad repairs, bees don't really go after them at all around here that I know of. Do a new thing, a serious single chamber mounted. Well, I mean, DC, the main thing when it comes to single brood chamber, I run that only in the honey months and all. As far as it works for me while the honey season or while the flow is on.
Yeah.
Well, all right, Michael there, he has hogs. Yeah, well, you guys do have a lot of hogs out there in Arkansas. I think that's big pig country out there. And all. The hogs stink or the peaches stink? Roy's got a question for you there about the Enel.
Yes, Roy, you do. You're going to need the tip comes with a vaporizer when you order it. It's the Apame tip, but there's also a screen, a treatment screen for the Enel hives now as well. I don't think I have a picture of one handy. Let me see if I can find a picture of one.
My presentations have gotten bigger or better. Yeah, they've always been good. But yeah, you're right. What I was getting at, DC, is that I tried to do one for the Demery, and I'll say it was more in the different. What I did was incomplete and all that stuff. So definitely do better on that. I want to be able to do a series of videos that everybody can definitely follow without any questions per se. I mean, there's always some questions, but it should be pretty clear what I'm doing.
Can I use the screen here for a second, Charlie?
Yeah, share.
If it'll do it.
Brian, I put a queen excluder between the brood chamber and the honey supers. I do not put another queen excluder above or underneath the top box, which is the brood, another secondary brood chamber.
You gotta let me in, Charlie. Roy, if you're watching, this is the screen that blocks off the one side, and this one goes in the other side.
There you go.
And that clear tube that you see right there goes on your vaporizer, and it slides in the hole. And that's strictly for the Enel hives. Thank you, Charlie.
Yeah. Is that plastic thing goes across the front of the hive or something?
Yeah, there's two of them in there. One goes across one side to close it off, and the other one goes across the other side so you can put the vaporizer in.
Actually, I don't feel what I try to do because I have a rolling demery. I try to get those brood frames up there about 95% hatched out, and I want them out of there so they don't put any brood in there or any honey in there, and so I can put them downstairs. And if I don't fill that top box out, I will put foundation up there, and they will draw that foundation out and fill it up with honey, which is fine with me. And all that.
Yeah.
Yeah, Brian's Flower Street there. I think he's going to start doing some videography. Gotten a few questions today from him about
That's good.
sound equipment and
More the merrier.
and editing software. He's looking at, or I think he's got the same software that I have and all that. So
What are you using?
Filmora.
Fillmore.
Yeah. Yep. It's a lot of, I call it sort of plug and play.
Yeah.
I tried DaVinci, which was free, which was super hard. And if you weren't into videography work to begin with, I don't think you would know. I don't understand where Filmora, like a transition, I don't know, what would you call it? A link or a thing. You just drag it and plug it in and then it's
Yeah.
done.
I use the Microsoft Clip Champ for mine.
What's that, Brian? Colorado State Beekeepers Association. I like it. I know that Mike Bear, actually, that's who when I first started, I asked everybody at Hive Life. I asked Brian from Castle Highs, Mike Berry, a couple different other people. I started out with, like I say, the DaVinci. I just could not get that. And I did Filmora. I'm like, all right. Then I had to watch a few videos off of YouTube on basic how-to stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And it turned out to be quite easy to use. Yeah, Brian, why don't you just send us a link on that, and then we all can just jump in on the chat when they have a Colorado Association.
Yeah.
Roy,
Yes, Roy, we do have a creamer. It's new.
So. So, Brian, what is the sustainability lead? Now, I know Ryan did a lot of single brood chamber, but over the winter,
It's hard to do single brood chamber over the winter.
well, he's down there in 2 hours south of me, and what he found was that those hives were just almost starving because he wasn't out there. Now, I told him it seemed like to me that he needed to put, I don't see how, if you got a barn like up north and you can fill the box full of honey and control everything, is one thing. And he had also had some about deep and a medium, and those were much better shape because they had a food shim on top as far as a food box.
Yeah.
And they weren't close to starving and all. I said, well, I think you need to really do that.
Brian, I think that's a commendable thing to do, but you also have to remember that once you get those mite resistant queens in there, you're still going to have to do a little bit of treatment. Not like you would do if you had regular bees, but you're still going to have to do some treatment.
Well, from what I gather out there, through what Brian's told me, kind of have the same problem you have in your clubs down your way.
Mm-hmm.
They kind of bang heads a little bit.
Yep. I get it.
I
get it.
Well, guys, I'm going to go ahead and close the chat down. I got to get up, like I say, and run the show tomorrow. So I don't want to be staying up too late. So, yeah, well, Brian's also a retired school teacher, so he's used to doing that kind of stuff. That's why he can educate.
Yeah. Yep.
He's used to that kind of stuff and all that. All right, everyone. Hope everybody had a good time tonight, and thanks for everybody coming in. And until next time, we'll see you later, and we'll see you on Monday nights at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time and on Bill's channel, Bees All Day, and all that.
Yep. I'll see everybody Monday night. Thank you all for coming out tonight. Good chat tonight. Don't forget to smash the like and subscribe button if you haven't already.
All right.